All right, good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning for me. I don't know what time it is for you, but we are going to continue on our lessons. So the last video lesson that I did, I left off on section 4.4, number 15. So we're going to pick up right there, and we are back to graphing these equations. So on number 15, let me pause this for just a second, and I will be right back. Okay, now that I can actually see my graph better, let's go ahead and get started. So we have these two equations up here that we want to graph. We want to graph y equals 2x minus 3. So remember, when we have those equations, just a second. Wow. All right, we are ready now. Okay, so we have y equals 2x minus 3. And remember that this minus 3 right here is what we consider our starting point. So we are going to start on the y-axis, which this here is the y-axis, this over here is the x-axis. We are going to start at negative 3 on the y-axis. So we're going to go down to negative 3 right here, and we're going to put a point. This is an actual point that is on our graph. So we're going to start there at minus 3, and then we need to do our slope from there. So remember, our slope is our directions from one point to the next. So I want my slope to be in a fraction, so I'm just going to come up here and make that 2 over 1. So my starting point is at negative 3. I'm going to start with my cursor right there on negative 3, and I am going to count up 2 over 1, because both the 2 and the 1 are positive. We go up and then to the right. And from there, we can go ahead and connect our lines. And then that will be our answer for number 15. Okay, just kidding. That's not our final answer. That was just one of them. We're going to need to go ahead and graph our second line now. So now we have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. So when we graph this one, we want to go up 2. And now my slope is in fraction form already. I have a negative 1 and a 2. So I'm going to go down 1 since I have a negative. 2 is a positive, so we're going to go to the right 2. Okay, and then that is our second line. All right, now I got to go back to my other program to make both of those lines look good. Well, let's see. We can do this. We can do this. Let me put my negative 3 back on here. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. So give myself plenty of points. Connect those lines. So remember the solution for this. This is when we have systems of equations. The solution is where they cross. So this right here is going to be our answer. So we need to know what point is that. Remember to take your x value first, which is 2, and then my y value, which is 1. So my solution, and they want it in point form, is going to be the point 2, 1. Okay, next one, number 16. We have y equals x minus 3. So let's rewrite that. Y equals x minus 3. Again, our starting point is at minus 3. So we need to go down to the y-axis, and we're going to start at negative 3 down here. Right here. So our starting point is always on that y-axis, and we're going to go down to negative 3. Then this does not have anything in front of our x. So remember what we did when there was nothing in front of the x? We could put in a 1. And since I want that to be a fraction, I'm going to go ahead and just make that 1 over 1. So 1 over 1, that's our rise over our run. What did I do? Okay, so from our starting point, my fraction is positive. Both of them are positive, so we're going to go up 1 to the right 1 since they're both positive numbers. And I'm just going to put a couple points in there to give ourselves a good line. Okay, you can just keep going up 1 over 1. As long as your slope is the same, you can make as many points on that line as you want to give it a good line. Okay. Then our next one, we've got y equals 2x minus 4. So this time, my starting point is at negative 4. So again, starting on the y-axis, come down here to negative 4. And then my slope is 2. Let's go ahead and make that a fraction. They're both positive, so again, we're going to be going up 2 to the right 1. So up 2 to the right 1. And look at that. That gives us a common point right there. I'm going to give myself a couple of points so I can draw a good line. I can't use my program that draws on my screen and the graphing tools from my Open Math at the same time. But I think this is working just fine. Okay, so right here is the solution to our system of equations. This is where the points cross. They cross at the point 1, negative 2. So make sure you get your x in first. So we went over 1, down negative 2, and then that is the solution for our system of equations. Number 16. Okay, this is number 17. So for number 17, again, the same thing. We have y equals negative 2x plus 3. And we need to graph that. So x equals negative 2, or y equals negative 2x plus 3. Where is our starting point this time? Give you guys a minute to think about that. We want to start at positive 3 on the y-axis. We're going to go there and we're going to make an actual point. That starting point is an actual point. However, your slope is only directions. I want to make it into a fraction. Make it into a fraction. And then we're going to follow the directions of that slope. So we start at 3. We're going to go down 2. Why are we going down? We are going down because our slope is negative. So down 2 to the right 1. Oops, right there. Down 2 to the right 1. Okay, we could have also gone up 2 to the left 1. So remember, you can go both directions for that slope. Give yourself a good few points. Make a good line. Alright, and again, next one. So now we have negative 4x plus 8y equals negative 16. Now this is written in the other format. Alright, this is what we call standard form. Okay. Now you can do a couple things. You could solve for y if you wanted to, but we can also use our x and y intercept method to find points to graph for this one. So that's what I'm going to do here. So if I have, for my x-intercept, this is my x-intercept, I'm going to plug in 0 for y. Well, what's going to happen when I plug in that 0 for y? 8 times 0 is 0. So that just becomes nothing. So we have negative 4x plus, well, that went to 0. That and then equals negative 16. So negative 4x equals negative 16. Divide both sides by negative 4. Remember, we can only do one opposite thing on this one. This negative 4x is being multiplied. So we're going to divide. Multiplication and division is opposite. So we can't do opposite signs. Alright, we only are doing the opposite operation. So we need to keep that as a negative 4 when we divide. So we have x is equal to, what happens to my negatives? Negative divided by a negative is a positive, so those are going to cancel. And then 16 divided by 4 is 4. So let's plug that point in. Okay. Now we're going to go the other direction. I'm going to just erase that. Alright, I'm going to erase my work here, and then we will do the other one. So now, what do we need to do? Now, I'm going to give you guys a minute to look at that. What would you do next? Plug in 0 for our x value. That's what it says to do right here. It says plug your 0 in for x. So now I'm going to have negative 4 times 0 plus 8y equals negative 16. What happens here again? Negative 4 times 0 is 0. Right? It's nothing. That is going to cancel. So we now have 8y equals negative 16. So now I can divide both sides by 8, and I get y equals negative 2. Now in this one I don't have two negatives to cancel. That negative stands alone, and so it's going to be down here also. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So now I have two nice points that I can graph. That one worked out very good. So 4, 0, and then 0, negative 2 are our 2 points. And it looks like they are going to cross very nicely right at the point 2, negative 1. So solution for this one, 2, negative 1, make sure you write it as a point. Okay, this is number 18. So on this one, notice how both of our equations are written this time. Both of them are now in that standard form. So we need to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept for this one. Okay. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that 0 here in for y. What happens? Well, it's all going to just be gone. We end up with negative 2x and negative 3. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 2, and I'm going to end up with x equaling positive 3/2, which if you look at your calculator, 3/2 is 1.5. All right, my negatives canceled on this. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, so now I need to do that the other direction. Let's see if I can go back. No, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Okay, so we said this was 1.5-ish. There we go. This is 1.5. All right, now we want to go and plug the 0 in for x this time. So when we plug the 0 in for x, this part is gone. And we end up with y equals negative 3. That one was actually kind of nice. So negative 3 here. So now I'm ready to go ahead and graph. My first point is at 1.50. So my x-intercept is right at 1.5. And then my y-intercept is at 0, negative 3. So there's my line right there. Try to draw a nice straight line. Not bad. Okay. And now we're ready for our second line. Now we have the line x plus 2y equals 4. Again, it's in that standard form, so I am going to find my intercepts method. Okay, take a second and look at that. How are you going to solve? Right up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug a 0 in for that y right here. When I do that, it's going to make all of this gone. What do I get? X equals 4. All right, next step. Now I want to plug a 0 in for x. That makes all of this gone. We get 2y equals 4. 2y equals 4. Divide both sides by 2. And we end up with y equals 2. Okay, let's make this line a different color for the fun of it. And now I have the 0.40 and the 0.02. And when I graph that line, it looks like they are going to cross right at the 0.21. So my answer for this one is going to be 2, 1. Okay, and that looks like all that's going to fit in my 15-minute videos. So you guys should be able to go through and figure out quite a few more of this 4.4. So this is where I'm going to leave you today. I'm going to do another video in the morning. So I'll try to be more consistent with these videos and we'll really keep moving along.